Hare Krishna. So today is our last session, which is session 9th. Okay. And what are we planning after this? Next week we are planning for a retreat to Devrayanduru. And thereafter we are moving towards level 2. Right? I see that those who are sitting here, most of you have already registered. Hare Krishna. So today is our last session, which is session 9th. Okay. And what are we planning after this? Next week we are planning for a retreat to Devrayanduru. And thereafter we are moving towards level 2. Right? I see that those who are sitting here, most of you have already registered. Hare Krishna. So today is our last session, which is session 9. Okay. And what are we planning after this? Next week we are planning for a retreat to Devrayanduru. We are moving towards level 2. This is streaming live, like my voice is repeating. We have already registered. For level today is our last session, which is session 9. Okay. So in level 2, we have opened the level 2 for registration. I see most of you have already registered. So let's go. This is streaming live, like my voice is repeating. So we'll start with short Kirtan. Nama Vishnu Padaya in level 2 Krishna Pristhaya. I see most of you have already Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami. So we'll start with short Kirtan. Nama Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya. I see most of you have already Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami. So we'll start with short Kirtan. Nama Gauravani Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Vishesha Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Krishna Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna Hare Hare Krishna Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna. Welcome all of you. We'll start with Mangalam prayers. Om Ajnana Timrata Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Shri Chaitanya Manobhishna Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupam Kadamahyam Dadati Swa Padantikam. All of you. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Deva Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitam Sha Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desha Tarine Namo Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Namaste Saraswati Devi. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita. We will start the session by paying our obeisances to Srila Prabhupada, seeking his blessings. So far we have gone through all the 8 sessions and we are today on the last session, which is titled as The Ultimate Perfection. So today is our last session of this level 1 Gita course. Right? And next week we will be having a culmination. We will be going to a spiritual retreat to Devrayandur, that is on 2nd of July. And thereafter, we'll be moving on to level 2 of Gita session, which is primarily known as Bhakti Vriksha. So we have divided into basically this larger group into 3 sections. One is English, offline, other is Hindi, offline, and third is online. And thereafter, we sort of encourage everyone to attend the physical, like offline sessions, either Hindi or English. So we have divided. So today is basically, as the title shows, ultimate perfection. Today it will be more of like it is all about practical tips. Today, whatever we have done so far, how should we apply it in our day-to-day life? That is the climax basically of all the 9 sessions. Right? So agenda goes like Lord Krishna's opinion about this world. So what does Lord Krishna has to say about this world? Why has he created this? Right? Then how to adjust the imbalance? Like there is things which are miserable, there's a lot of anxiety, distress here, things are temporary, and we want ultimate happiness. So how to balance this? So what does Lord Krishna has to say about this world? Make like best deal out of this bad how to adjust the imbalance. And then should devotion be part of our life? Like can we practice spiritual life by doing our services, by taking care of our families, everything? Or do we have to take renunciation, right, in order to practice all what we are discussing? Right? And that is what actually Arjun wants to do. So let's discuss this. And understanding my needs, like what are our needs basically. And this section will summarize basically how to take home this entire 9 sessions in order to practice practical tips. And so, that is what actually Arjun wants to do. What is Lord Krishna's opinion about this world? And we start this with a verse from Bhagavad Gita. So this is from 8th chapter, and verse number is 50. So who will like to recite this Sanskrit verse? So we have a mic here. Cordless mic will be given to devotee who would like to. And we start this. Tripati Prabhu, will you like from Bhagavad Gita? Who will like? So this is from 8th chapter, and verse number is 50. So who will like to recite this Sanskrit verse? So we have a mic here. Cordless mic will be given to devotee who would like to. Khale, Tripati Prabhu, Ashashwata from Bhagavad Gita. Who will like? This is from 8th chapter, and verse number is 50. Very nice, very nice. So we like to read the translation. Tripati Prabhu, we can read the translation. Mic will be given to devotee who would like to. Khale, Tripati Prabhu, Ashashwata from Bhagavad Gita. Very nice, very nice. So we like to. So which words have we highlighted in this translation? We can read that. This is temporary world and full of miseries. So Krishna here is saying, Mamupritya punarjanma dukhalayam ashashvatam. So they are like, if we split these words, dukhalayam. So which words have we highlighted? So you know what is the meaning of shashvat? This is temporary, permanent, eternal, full of miseries. Shashvat. And ashashvat means something which is temporary. So Krishna has to say that this world is temporary, which is ashashvat, and dukhalayam means full of miseries, right? So, and then he says, Napnuvanti Mahatma Nam Samsiddhim Paramam Gataha. So, but the devotees, they attain to something which is permanent, temporary, and they don't entangle themselves in something which is temporary and miserable. So why is Krishna saying that this world is miserable and temporary? Right, Dukhalayam. So what do we call, like this is a school. What do we call this school in Sanskrit? And they don't Vidya Laya. Entangle themselves in something which is Vidya Laya and miserable. So why is Krishna saying that this world is this is a bar? What do we call it in Sanskrit? So, what do we call like this is a alaya? Alaya. Alaya means something which is a place, right? Alaya. This is Madhuralaya. That is Vidya. There we are getting this in school. We are getting Vidya. Here we are getting Madhura. This is right. And this is library. What is it called? Pustak Alaya. Right? Pustak Alaya. Alaya. What for? We are getting books there. Right? And what is Krishna saying about this world? What is this? We are getting Vidya. Here we are getting So while elsewhere we are getting books, we are getting, education and other things. Here, what are we going to get? Dukha. What for? We are getting books. This is very important for us. And what is Krishna saying? And when Krishna is saying something, if for example, all of you are from IT and you develop a product and it does something, right? You are developing something for some purpose. And Krishna has also manufactured this for a purpose. And what is the purpose? So that we realize that if we want to enjoy independent of Krishna, for example, then what we end up getting is develop a product. Look, it does some miseries. You are developing something for some. And this world is and Krishna has also why is this temporary? Manufactured this for a purpose. And what is the why is this temporary? So that looks like Krishna is very pessimistic. If we want to enjoy independent of Krishna, why? Then what we end up getting is let's do an interesting comparison, and then we'll realize for ourselves. Right? This world is pardon. Why is Krishna realistic or is Krishna pessimistic? And what is the why is this temporary? So, for example, we'll compare ourselves with a prisoner in jail. So a prisoner in jail has a uniform, right? They are behind the bars, and they are made to work hard, right? For example, we'll compare our jailer orders punishment, and why are they put in jail? Why are they put in prison? A prisoner in jail has a uniform, right? Reformation. The purpose is because of crime, yes, and the purpose is reformation, right? So, and here we are, jailer entrapped in this world. And why are they put in jail? And let's see how and why we think we are entrapped here. So while a prisoner is wearing a uniform because of crime, what is our uniform? What are we? Reformation, right? So we are human. Who else would like to say what are we? Entrapped in this world. And why are they put in? What are we? And let's see how and puppets. Someone else. Bal Ganeshanji, what are we? Wearing a uniform. We are humans. What is our uniform? Tripati Rao, what are we? What are we? So we are humans. Ranjiji, who else would like to say what are we? Entrapped in this world. And why are they put in? Very nice. Let's see. We are puppets. So that is Krishna's first instruction of Bhagavad Gita. Krishna starts his instruction from second chapter, verse number 10th. And Krishna says that you are not this body. Very nice. Why? Krishna says, Dehi no asmin yatha dehe komaram yoganam jara tatha dehantarna dhiras tashrana starts his instruction from second chapter. We are changing this dehe, 10th. And Krishna says, when are we changing? Even in this body. Komaram yoganam jara. when we were child, when we get this body in adulthood, when we get old, we get Tatha Dehantar Prapte. And even after leaving this body, we will change the body. So change is something which is constant. The body is still changing. And Krishna says another verse, Vasamshi Jednani Yatha Viha. It means that after this, he's comparing this body with cloth. And even after that, if the clothes they get old and worn out and torn out, what do? You buy a new pair, right? And when on Diwali someone gives you new cloth, a pair of clothes, are you happy or sad? How happy are you? Right? And when Krishna gives you a new pair of clothes, you should be happy. So when what is Krishna comparing this body with is when this body is getting old, worn out, torn out, he gives you a new body, a pair of clothes. Are you happy or sad? Then you should rejoice. You should be happy, right? So we are entrapped. What is our uniform in this? So when what is Krishna entrapped this condition is our body, which is made up of 8 elements. He gives you a new body. What are the 8 elements? Then you should rejoice. This body is made up of 8 elements, which is earth, water, fire, air, ether. We are entrapped. What is our mind, intelligence, and policy? Right? So Panchamahabhut and three are subtle, which is made up of 8. Then behind the bars, as we are behind the bars, we are entrapped. Are we entrapped with something? This body is made up of 8 elements: earth, water, fire, air, ether. We are entrapped. Lust, anger, greed, attachment, all these. We discussed like that we are under the modes. Subtle, which is made up of 8. Then these modes of nature, they make us slow. And made to work hard, is someone making us work hard? Who would know better than IT technicians, engineers of Bangalore? Right? We discussed like there is no free time. Under the modes. No free time from morning to late night. These modes of nature, it's very unfortunate, right? So we know that here also we are made to work hard. Is someone making us work hard? Who would know better than IT technicians? And it is not that we will not get our bread and butter if we don't work hard. But there's something which is making us work hard from morning to late night. So yes, we are working hard. Very unfortunate. And then who is the jailer who is giving us the punishment in this world? There are, and it is not Devi, that we will not get right, who is giving us these punishment, these miseries are known as kleshas. So Krishna told two things. This is Dukhalaya and Ashashvat. So what are these dukh? Let's see. So these are, so this is this a fair comparison? Right, that we are struggling. Right. Now, if we are struggling, let's see what are these dukkha. They are primarily three types: adhyatmik, this is bhautik, and adhidevik. So what adhyatmik? There are miseries caused by our own selves. So these are. So this is this a fair? So I am a medical doctor, and I know. Now, if we and I am being a medical doctor, I am also in research, pharmaceutical research. And the top market for us in pharmaceutical research is oncology. There are cancer, miseries caused by our own selves. The second biggest market is, you know what, medical doctor, neuroscience, and I know, which is, and I am being a medical doctor, the drugs for research, anxiety, depression, bipolar disorders. The top market for us in pharmaceutical research is, so it is important for us to see here that what are those adhyatmika kleshas, miseries. Adhyatmikas are all those depression, anxieties, which is, and I am being a medical doctor for research, anxiety, depression, bipolar disorders. The top market for us in pharmaceutical research is, so it is important for us to see here that what are those adhyatmika kleshas. Okay, so these adhyatmika we discussed. What are these miseries by our own body and mind? Depression, anxiety, all these things. We see so many people around us who are suffering from this. You can come little forward. All of you. So, and what are adi bhautik dukha? Now, recently we went through a pandemic, right? We are some sort of still fag end of that pandemic, right? There is, whenever you call someone, Amitabh Bachchan will keep reminding you that you are still in, you're not free from coronavirus, right? So, and this is a virus, right? So Adi Bhautik, this is a good example. Adi Bhautik is someone, miseries caused by other living entities. It can be your neighbor, it can be your office colleague, it can be your boss, right? It can be your team member, it can be someone from your family, or any other animal, bacteria, virus. Right? There are so many things. And what are Adi Devika miseries? Adi Devika are caused by normal, natural calamities like floods, famine, and all these things, right? Disasters. So, is there anyone who can say that no, I am not, sort of influenced by these three type of miseries? Is there anyone? So Krishna is realistic, and he says, this world is full of miseries. Srila Prabhupada, right? This world is full of miseries. Many different kind of miseries. Someone is impacted with one, someone with other, right? All of us at every point of time actually is, right? We discussed so many times, as you go out of this temple room, we go out in the world and we see, right, people around suffering. Yes. And what is reality of this world? The reality of this world is, while we see that we just learned that, yeah, and we agreed that there's so much of suffering, but there's so much advertisement about happiness. Everyone is trying to find their own innovative ways to be happy, right? But, it's like everything, whatever we try, gives us temporary happiness, if at all. It is temporary. And there is a very good example of it. All of you have mobile phones with you, right? And why there are new versions of mobile phone? If that was something which was, and many of you might be working on mobile phones, right? It's something or the other. And why is it that? Why is it so that, we have to always upgrade? And why? Because people, they want happiness, better and better and better quality of life, right? But unfortunately, with these things, we will not be able to get the one who wanted to give us this happiness through iPhones himself died with what? Which cancer? Pancreatic cancer, right? So no one is free from all those miseries, unfortunately. That is the truth of life. So should we try to aim at something which is permanent, right? And what is this whole logic of happiness, When we were students, because I am a medical doctor, I hear to example of a medical student and a doctor, right? The logic of happiness is, in this world, is all about in anticipation. You work hard and you will get this, right? Have you heard a story of a donkey who's made to work hard with carrot put in front of him? You know that story. So there was a donkey. He thought his master was a smart one, right? So this donkey see that there are many donkeys around, and only he is made to carry heavy load. But his friends are all eating grass without carrying heavy load. But he thinks, no, my master is going to give me some delicacies, And what delicacies? This master was a smart master. He put a carrot in a stick. He tied the carrot in the stick and he put it in front of the donkey. So as he walks, the carrot moves. And he walks in anticipation that he will get to eat the carrot. And in the anticipation of getting that carrot, he's carrying that heavy burden of working in Apple, Cisco, Oracle, Cognizant, Accenture, in anticipation of getting that carrot. And here is a real life example of the speaker himself. So as a medical student, we used to work hard. The engineering books are so thick, physics, chemistry, maths, and so are medical books. Like if you compare how many books have we read, like you can pile them, it will be maybe higher than this, right? And we have to cram them in and out because we are doctors. So and even before becoming a doctor as a student, right? We know nowadays how much we are making our children study, right? So we would slog, and finally we'll enter into medical school, right? Day one, what happens? Welcome with, what? My wife studied here, like in Ajmer, her MBBS. So she used to tell us that they were made to wear a red tie and what? A white skirt and dress, so that it's like a type of ragging. Yeah. No one is going to beat you, but you are welcome with ragging, right? So, and then when you go through your medical college or school, you realize that it's not easy. Like what happiness do you get there as different from anywhere else? But these medical students then again slog hard, right? Working, studying. They really have to study hard. Then finally they end up becoming a doctor. And after becoming a doctor, what do they see? MBBS at this point of time, as of today, has no value. Has no value. Then you will think you will do PG. And when you end up doing your post-graduation, you will realize that also by the time you complete your post-graduation has no value. Then you will have to do super specialization. Right? So that is what they end up. And then finally they think, okay, like I have started. Who is making that sound? So then finally you will end up realizing that you have to do something more to be happy. Medical education is not enough. So what you will do? Bal Ganeshan ji? Bal Ganeshan ji has realized. So now I have learned my lesson. Marriage also cannot help us, right? So all the married couple can tell you, right? So that is what it is. And then, you end up getting a job and in anticipation of getting happy. Unfortunately, we can. The other thing is the logic of happiness is, we discussed this, that comparison, right? It's all about comparing with our colleague. This is our life. Does anyone remember this story? I think so. We discussed when we were going through the session of overcoming sufferings. They can take the child on 4th floor. Yeah. Abhishek Prabhu, you can write them. So, does anyone remember this? The story of this Kali? This person, he asked a boon, and what was that boon? That I should get something more than my neighbor. And he asked for a boon, and Kali said, yes, you will get, but your neighbor will also get what you asked for. And he asked for a car, and his neighbor also got that car. And then he was not happy. And he asked for a bungalow, and his neighbor also got. So his happiness was short-lived, right? Why? Because his happiness was dependent on his comparing himself and what is our happiness. 50 years back, if you had Maruti 800, you will think yourself as king. And today, why? Because of comparison. You want to compare with what you have now and what others have now. And which is why, so many iPhones, versions of iPhone. right? So that is unfortunately what is happening. And we see here, comparing. Even if you have everything, you want more and more and more. Right? So your happiness is short, which is why Krishna says everything in this world is temporary. Whatever you have is temporary. Even this body is temporary. The duration may depend, right? So that is why Krishna says this world is dukhalayam and ashashvatam. Then what is the solution? So we discussed the problem, the issue. What is the solution? So you go to a manager with a problem and your manager say, okay, tell me what you want. Yes. So as a manager, as leaders, we are told not to give solutions to your direct reports. You should ask them for a solution. We are trained, So I am in pharmaceutical industry. So we are trained as leaders. We have given so many trainings that how you should manage your team. Because if they are coming with a problem, they also know what solution they are expecting from you. So now you have to tell me what is the solution. Prashadji, what do you think is the solution out of this temporary and miserable world? We should not be entangled because there is, even if you end up in entangled, whatever you get is misery and everything is temporary, right? And temporary things cannot give you constant uniform happiness, right? So what is the solution? You should aim at something which is eternal, right? And where there is no miseries. So what is that? Connect with spiritual things, right? Why? Because we are soul, we are eternal. Krishna, being God, is eternal and full of happiness. Sat Chit Anand Vigraha. Right? Full of bliss, full of happiness, and full of knowledge. So Krishna, for all of us, he gives a solution. And what is that solution? So who is going to recite this Sanskrit verse? Yes, Prashad Prabhu will recite.
Prashayate Suryo na Sanskaro
Shashanko
na Pavaka Yakatavana Divarante Tad Dharma
Dhamma
Paramam Mama.
Very nice. Very good. So all of you should try to a little bit recite the Sanskrit words. We can not all be like Shanmukh Prabhu, but practice makes a man perfect. Right? If you are determined, you keep practicing. How do you become an engineer or a doctor? You work hard, right? So yes, na tad bhasyate suryo, na shashanko na pavaka, yad gatva na nivartante, tad dhama paramam gataha. So Krishna is talking about a place where you can get happiness and lasting peace, happiness. Everything is permanent there and it is full of happiness. That supreme abode, Krishna says that dham, paramam, dhama paramam is Krishna's abode. If you go there, right, you don't have to come back to this miserable world, which is full of dukkha and which is temporary. And he's inviting us all to that permanent place. And how can we go there? By practicing spiritual life. And the main limb of our spiritual life is Rashmi ji, what do you think is the main limb of spiritual? What is the main thing we have to do to get connected to Krishna, to God? Chanting. Chanting is the main thing, right? We every session we end up with this verse. Krate yadhyayato Vishnu tretaya yajato makhe dwapare paricharyaya kalo tadhari kirtana. So for Kali Yuga, the only remedy is Hari Kirtan. Right? And for this particular age, in this Kali Yuga, what is that? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare. It is mentioned. Iti Sodashakam Namnam Kali Kalmashanam Nata Parantaropaya Sarva Vedeshu Drishyate. In the Vedas, it is mentioned that only these 16 syllable, 16 word, 32 syllable mantra can help you come over the evil effects of Kali Yuga. Okay, so this is very clear. Now, what to do with our current life? There's so much, we have to do so many things. So Krishna gives a solution for that. How to work around this imbalance, right? So Krishna says, who will like to recite this Sanskrit? Who will like? Okay, Sahesh Shanshu.
देवी ऐसा गुणमयी मम माया दुरतया मामेव ये प्रपद्यन्ते माया तरन्ति. This divine energy of mind, consisting of three modes of material nature, is difficult to overcome. But those who have surrendered unto me can easily cross beyond.
Thank you very much. So Krishna is saying that it is, when Krishna is saying difficult, that means it's impossible. Right? Satyajit Prabhu, right? So when Krishna says something, and how can we overcome these miseries we talked about? By surrendering onto Krishna. Right? And Krishna specifically says in Gita, surrender onto me and no one else. So Krishna says, Sarva Dharman Parityajya Mam Ekam Sharanam Vraja. Aham Tam Sarva Papebhyo Moksheshyami Maha Suchaha. He gives the solution. That abandon all varieties of religion means that time there was no Islam or Christianity. So he's not talking about that. He's talking about our own different occupations, religions, which, he's talking about different yoga systems, right? He says, unfortunately, in this Krateya Adhyaya to Vishnu verse, he says, all this was for Satyuga, the meditation method. For Treta Yuga, it was fire sacrifice. For Dwapar Yuga, what deity worship. But for Kali Yuga, primarily it is, how do we surrender to Krishna in Kali Yuga? By chanting. So that surrender is with chanting. And how do we understand that chanting is the key? By reading and understanding Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. So these things, if we do sincerely, chanting along with reading and hearing Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam, we will be able to achieve that permanent abode of Krishna. Tad Dhama Paramam Mama. That permanent abode. Out of this world which is full of sufferings, full of miseries, and is temporary. Right? And we have examples of devotees who have surrendered their lives. Not only from history, but also if you see in our current life, right? There's so many devotees, even if they are like Arjuna, was he a renunciate or he was a married person? He was a married person and he was living his spiritual life. Who was Yudhishthir, Parikshit, Ambarish, Maharaj? All of them were married. So don't think that they didn't have any job. And you tell me, managing the earth, is it more difficult or your job? They were like kings managing, they had empires, right? And we can assume and we can understand that Narendra Modi's job is a little more difficult than ours, right? So compare the person who is managing the entire earth, right? So don't think, and they find the solution. How? All these devotees, by surrendering on to Krishna, right? So that is the way out. And can devotion be part of our life, or do we have to, take renunciation? Like, do we have to take a saffron cloth, or can we just do whatever we are doing, but add on something, right, in our lives? And Krishna says that same thing. Arjun wanted to run away from his responsibility, right? Why did Krishna had to speak Bhagavad Gita? Because Arjun was feeling depressed. and he wanted to take renunciation. He said, I'll go to forest. Running away from his responsibility is what Krishna doesn't like. Krishna wants us, you please carry on taking care of your family, carry on with managing your job, right? But how to do that is what Krishna is saying. There is difference between Duryodhana and Arjun. Duryodhana was also fighting and Arjun was also fighting, right? But Duryodhana was fighting for adharma, while Arjun was fighting for Krishna, dharma. And that is what Krishna is saying. We have to do our job. We have to do, everything what is required to take care and maintain our family, right? But in a Krishna conscious way. That is what he wants. So Krishna says, so will anyone like to recite this? Yes, our Mataji, Julie Mataji.
श्री भगवान वाच संन्यास कर्म योगेश्वरी निःश्रेयस कराहुभव तयोस्तु कर्मण्यनासा कर्म योगे विशिष्य.
Very
The
nice.
personality of God ahead replied, the renunciation of work and work in this devotion are both good and liberation.
Is better than renunciation of work. Right? So Krishna himself is saying, my dear friend, there's no need to renounce. You stay in whatever you do. And we have examples. These are few personalities. Ishi Gandharvika Gedari, Chaitanya, Bhagwan, Srila Prabhupada. And they're live examples, right? Not only from Vedic history, but also from our current life. We see the first photograph is of an Indian. He's Mr. Mafatlal, owner of Mafatlal Industries. He and his wife, entire family, they're devotees. And who is the other person? Does anyone recognize who he is? He's Alfred Ford. Alfred Ford, he's a great grandson of Henry Ford, who fought for US presidential election, and he's the owner of Ford Motors. And this person is also he's practicing devotional life the way Arjun was practicing. And his body is not an Indian body, right? So if an American can practice spiritual life while taking care of his family and business, why can't we? We don't have to take renunciation. Devotional life, spirituality does not mean renunciation. Yes, Krishna talks about few things which we have to take care of. Those bad habits, right? No meat eating, no intoxication, no illicit relationship and gambling and all these things. These are not good for us. These are not good for health, right? And he says, yes, you do something positive, chanting. That's all what, So, and what are our needs basically, So, is it clear so far? Right? This world is temporary, miserable. The solution is practice a spiritual life so you can attain something which is permanent. For practicing this, you don't have to take renunciation, right? Now, this revisit is a summary of all the previous 8 sessions. In few slides, in 10 minutes, we'll go through the entire 8 sessions, right? So here is King Martin Luther Jr. What did he say? Rajesh Prabhu, you can read it. You can.
Our scientific power has outrun our spiritual power. We have guided missiles and misguided.
Right. So our scientific power has outrun our spiritual power. We have guided missiles, but is it correct even for Indians? Yeah, for everyone, right? We are forgetting our spiritual roots, our strong Vedic cultural roots. And we think that by doing this, we will become happy. No. And this is the example, we discussed that the sense, mind, and intelligence, what is the comparison, right? So senses are compared to horse of this chariot. Mind is this rope, and intelligence is the chariot driver. So you have to control your mind, which is chanchalaha, very chanchal mind. You have to control this mind with intelligence, and then only you will be able to control your senses. Right? We discussed that a diabetic person wants to eat jalebi, but that jalebi is not going to be good for his health, right? Similarly, we know our senses, they are running after sense objects and creating problems for us. Yeah. So we have to control our mind with intelligence. And where from we will get this intelligence? Nasti buddhir ayuktasya nachayuktasya bhavana nacha bhavyata shantir ashantasya kutha sukham. If our mind and intelligence is not controlled, from where are we going to get a steady mind? Peace. And without peace, ashantasya kutha sukham. Without peace, you will not get happiness. Right? So how will you get that? How will you get that intelligence which can control your mind? Without connection with Krishna, nasti buddhir ayuktasya, nacha ayuktasya bhavana. Without connection with Krishna, you cannot have. And how you get connected to Krishna? By chanting, reading, and hearing. And if you can, you get transcendental intelligence, a steady mind, peace, and happiness. Right? So these things are important. And many a times, even theoretically, you understand, okay, that's fine, I understood. But can you do it all on yourself, all alone? Or do you need help? Right? We discussed this example, right? 6 blind men were put in front of a elephant, and they say, well, someone is saying this is a wall, this is a spear, this is a snake, this is a rope, this is fan, but actually none of them could identify what it was. So what do you need? Can we see God? Can we see coronavirus? What to talk about God? If you cannot see corona, we think we are very smart. Especially Satyajit, right? People of Bangalore, they think they are smart. But unfortunately, Bal Ganeshan is laughing. So, yes, the nature will tell us what we are through these calamities. Right? Then we understand, we realize we need some help. And Krishna has said, yes, you will need help, which is why I have created, so there are schools, recognized schools, CBSE, ICSE, Karnataka board, UP board, right? So Krishna has also, if that material education needs some recognized, educational institutions, spiritual education also needs. So Krishna has created 4 set of disciplic successions, right? Iskcon falls under one of these, which is Brahma Madhav Gaudiya Vaishnava Parampara, right? Srila Prabhupada, we discussed about Srila Prabhupada's life, right? How he lived his life in full Krishna consciousness, in full devotion. He was a grasta. He had business. He was also with pharmacy business, right? And then at a correct point of time, he retired from his life. And then he took renunciation also when he was 56. So he lived all the 4 ashrams nicely. Gradually, he sort of elevated towards more and more deeper spiritual life, right? And how he not only lived his spiritual life, but he spread it all over, all across the world. Now, anywhere you go, you will find a Iskcon temple. You will find not only Indian worshipping, but there are foreigners, ladies who wear saris, who put bindi and tilak and everything, right? And men wear dhoti and kurta with shikha, right? So an Indian shy away from these things, right? And we are copying Westerners. Someone told Prabhupada, you are going to West to preach. Why don't you learn to, eat with fork and knife? Yeah, if someone is going to West, they'll spend more money in buying Western clothes and doing all this stuff. And so similarly, someone told to Prabhupada that why don't you learn to eat with fork and knife? And Prabhupada, you know what did he say? I am going there to teach them how to eat with fingers, not to learn how to eat with fork and knife. And did Prabhupada teach them how to eat with fork and knife or with fingers? Not only that, Prabhupada helped them everything. He gave the entire Vedic culture to them. And then Westerners, when they started practicing, the Indians, they opened their eyes. And then they also became pets. Someone is practicing our own Vedic culture so nicely, right? Similarly, we have to be, right? And in Bhagavatam, it is said, Ete chamsha kalaha pamsa Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam Indriyari Vyakulam Lokam Vidayanti. What is it? That of all the incarnations you are seeing, right? Of all of them, Krishna is the source. Krishna is the fountainhead of all the incarnations you are seeing. This is in Bhagavatam. And then we also discussed that how Krishna is not an autocratic God. He is a loving friend of us. And his unconditional love doesn't mean that whatever we do is love. But whatever we do, we are Bhoktaram Yagatapsam Sarvalok Maheshwaram Suhridaya Sarvabhutana. He loves all of us. Gyatva Mam Shantim Rachati. If we know this, that he's the owner, he's the proprietor, he's the controller of everything, but he's also our well-wisher. Knowing these things, we will be in peace, right? And then Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Yad karoshi yad ashnasi yad juhosi dadashiyas yad tapaswasi kaunteya tat kurushva madarpana. Whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you offer, whatever you give away, whatever austerity, do it for me. Krishna is clearly saying. Is there any doubt in what he's saying? Earlier he said, surrender unto me. Right? Sarv dharman parityaje mam ekam. And here he's saying, do everything for me. Right? Now, how to do? Right? Let's discuss, practical things. How to do this? Needs and ways to fulfill them. Right? So, what are our needs? Let's see. Maintain the body and family. So now you are saying you do everything for Krishna. So how will I maintain my body? So let's find a solution. Satisfaction of mind, right? Our mind also needs some satisfaction. Otherwise, it will go crazy, right? Then handling pressure and stress, especially working in Bangalore. Premdata Prabhu is smiling. Maintaining healthy relations. Yeah, we have to maintain healthy relations. We need relationships. We are social animals. And also, we have needs of soul, right? Did we discuss that example of that is anecdotal story of that princess who was in love with that cage that a parrot used to sing nicely, and he brought a golden cage for that. And you know what that princess was busy in? She forgot to feed the parrot who used to sing so nicely, and she ended up taking care of the golden cage, just shining and everything, and polishing that. She didn't feed the parrot. And what happened at the end? The parrot died. And then the princess was blaming God, you are so cruel. I'm sorry. That is how we do. When something happens, the first thing we point finger is, how can God do this? Right? Not realizing that what did we do that we ended up having this fate. So that is, and what is the main lesson is that what is that parrot and what is that cage? Cage is this body. And what is that parrot? Is we, soul. So if we just end up taking care of this body, not taking care of ourselves, see, in India, we have such a rich culture. What do we do with the body after, someone passes away? Yeah, we cremate the body. And after that, ashes and bones are thrown in Ganges, right? They are immersed in Ganges. And what happens then? Who will eat that bone? Fish, right? Islam, Christianity. What ends up with the body? Same thing. The insects will eat the body. What will be the end fate? They'll become a stool of the insect and the stool of the fish. That is our fate. You have to decide what stool you become. This body finally is going to become a stool of some animal. And we are spending whole life just to take care of this body, not realizing that we are soul. Right? So, but we are two things. We are soul and in this body. So we have to take care of both the things, right? We have to have a good balance. So how to fulfill those needs? Maintain the body and family. So ways to fulfill. Earn a livelihood in an ethical manner, right? Work income. Problem. Is working in Accenture more difficult than fighting a war? No. Or ruling the country? No. You can. Ethically, nicely. We can satisfy the mind. Working, now the work has to be with our nature. It should not be because of my neighbor is doing something, I end up being in IT. I've seen that many people, they do chemical engineering but end up in IT job. They will do so many other engineering. So first thing is they did chemical engineering or other engineering because everyone was doing. They ended up in IT because everyone was doing. Disregarding actually what is there. Here we see so much of a skill set problem, right? So work according to your nature. And then for handling pressure and stress, mantra, that which can control the mind. Mantra. Mantra is, what is the definition, meaning of mantra? Is that which can control the mind. So what meditation you have to do is chanting. For this Kali Yuga, this meditation is the key. And mood of service and stay grounded. So how you can maintain healthy relationship if you are in mood of service? That you can consider everyone around you in your family, friends, that, keep one thing in center, which is Krishna. And compare that, they have relationship with Krishna. Try to if you keep Krishna in center, then you will love everyone. If you drop a stone in the water, you will see there will be ripples around, right? Concentric circles, right? But if you throw many stones, you'll see all of them will clash with each other. So if you have one center, then there won't be any clash. But if you have multiple centers, then there will be problem. Right? And then the need for the soul is feeding the parrot, feeding the soul. And soul can be only fed by spiritual practice. Right, Shanmukh Prabhu? Shanmukh Prabhu has his example. Shanmukh Prabhu works with Broadcom. Rajesh Prabhu is working with Qualcomm. Right? There's so many. Our Abhishek Prabhu works for Cognizant. They're also working like you people. I'm also working for one of the American pharmaceutical research company. But they don't drive us. We do our practices and we have a certain time duration we'll work, and rest of the time we'll take care of other things, spiritual life. So how to balance all aspects of our life? So, it was more like these 9 sessions were all about these things, right? Putting Krishna in the center is what we have to do. And if we put Krishna in the center, now how to learn that? How, on your own, it is very difficult. Now you need hand holding, you need day-to-day guidance, day-to-day support, right? And from where will you get now after the end of 9 session? So we have, Iskcon has designed this, and this is very systematic and it works across the globe. whichever country, whichever city you are. And this is known as Bhakti Vriksha, right? And many of you have already enrolled, right? Now, I just want to check who sitting here has not joined one of the Bhakti Vrikshas. Can you raise your hands? Those who have not yet joined. So you have not joined. You have not joined there. Vishal Prabhu, some of you, Rajesh Prabhu. So we have this Bhakti Vriksha, which is a systematic study of Bhagavad Gita, right? Systematic study of our Vedic scriptures. And it is not like this, like monologue. It will be a small, 10 to 15 devotees will sit, discuss. It's not a lecture kind of thing. It's a group discussion, understanding. There will be a theme and we'll study our scriptures, right? With practical application. It's all about practical application, right? The topics there are all set, right? There are 60, around about 60 topics, all very nicely designed, right? And it focuses on our individual spiritual growth. It's not like a class, understand, right? Engages in, and you get opportunity to engage in various services. So you can feel that you are contributing something tangible, right? It's not, sometimes in our initial days of spiritual life, chanting and reading looks, not something tangible. So you need something with which you can connect with. And that is what is physical service. So Janmashtami is now coming. When is Janmashtami? 18th August, right? 18th August is Janmashtami. And we will be celebrating Janmashtami across this building. There is a ground, right? You see, there we will have a big, pandal. And nicely we'll celebrate there. So who all will like to do some kind of services in Janmashtami there? Right? So all of you like to do. Okay. So you can be, how you can be part of these services is through Bhakti Vriksha, right? So if someone has not yet enrolled in Bhakti Vriksha, you connect with Abhishek Prabhu. Abhishek Prabhu will stand. Abhishek Prabhu will come in. So Abhishek Prabhu will sit on a table and a chair in the corner there after Aarti. And you can take help from Abhishek Prabhu, right? Abhishek Prabhu will connect you. So there are 3 Bhakti Vrikshas. One is English, offline, physical. Hindi, offline, physical. And one is online, right? We would encourage you to connect with physical, offline Bhakti Vriksha. But in case, because of some limitation, if you cannot, then we have online option as well. Now even marriages are happening online. So we also have to do something, right? So this is what is the practical tip. We need expert to help us in our spiritual lives, right? We need to help each other and support each other. So that is very important. We are coming. And the easiest way to worship Krishna is, right? Prateya Adhyaya Vishnu Tretaya Trimake Dwapare Paricharyayam Kalo Tadhari Kirtana. You can memorize this verse, right? What was obtained in Satyuga by meditation, Vishnu in Treta Yuga by performing fire sacrifice, Dwapar Yuga by serving lotus feet, can be obtained in Kali Yuga by chanting. What chanting? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. Iti Sojakasam Nam Kali Kalmasha Nashnam Nata Paratarupaya Sarva Vedeshu Drishyase. Right? The 16 names composed of 32 syllables is the only means. That is important for us to understand. Only means. And where is it mentioned? Sarva Vedeshu Drishyate. And this is specifically mentioned in Shruti scripture, Kali Santarana Upanishads. All the Upanishads are Shruti scriptures. So it is important for us. So now I want to open the floor for any question. If you have, yeah, give the mic to her. Thanks. Thanks.
Is there any difference in Srimad Bhagavad Gita and
Srimad Bhagavatam, right? So this is a good question. So Bhagavad Gita is what Krishna spoke in battle of Kurukshetra, before the battle of Kurukshetra. That was an instruction given to Arjuna by Krishna, right? And that is, and what is Srimad Bhagavatam, you know? Prabhupada used to say Bhagavad Gita is a like school study and Srimad Bhagavatam is a graduation. So all of you are graduates. So before graduation, you did your school. So first you have to study Bhagavad Gita nicely. And then the second level will be Srimad Bhagavatam, which is all about stories of Krishna and his devotees. So Bhagavad Gita will sort of, it's nectarian in its own way. You know, you will understand all about philosophical aspects of spiritual life. You know, they are Kala, Karma, Ishvara, Jiva, and Prakriti. These 5 aspects are discussed in Bhagavad Gita. So you'll understand all about, like, before jumping on Srimad Bhagavatam, we will study Bhagavad Gita nicely. And then we will come to Srimad Bhagavatam, right? So there are 2 different. Srimad Bhagavatam has 18,000 verses. Bhagavad Gita has 700 verses, right? So Bhagavad Gita has 1 chapter, like 18 chapters. It's 1 book. Srimad Bhagavatam comes in, 12 cantos and 18 volumes. So it is. So these books towards the like right side of Prabhupada, the books are there. That is Srimad Bhagavatam. You see different volumes of books, right? Alok Prabhu, can you show them Bhagavatam books? Just show them there only. These 18 books and volumes. So this is one of the book. So they are, yeah, right. And Bhagavad Gita is just 1. So now you will not forget this. Okay. Any other question? Yeah, Prashad, give the mic to him. What is your name? Atul Sahu. Okay.
एक प्रश्न मेरा ये है
हाँ.
कि अभी देखा जाए संसार में काफी अन्याय हो रहे हैं. अन्याय कहने का ये अर्थ है कि जैसे बांग्लादेश में मंदिर तोड़े गए, पाकिस्तान में भी तोड़े गए, और दुर्गा पंडाल के ऊपर काफी अभ्रष्ट तरीकों से मूर्ति का खंडन हुआ, और इस्कॉन के डिवोटीज रिस्पॉन्स में केवल प्रोटेस्ट किए. तो आप किस नजरिए से देखते हैं इसको?
बहुत अच्छा प्रश्न है. तो ये सब किसका साइन है? We are taking religion as a something. See, spiritual master of Srila Prabhupada, his name is Bhakti Siddhant Saraswati Thakur. He was a Naistik Brahmachari. He said one thing, that religion without philosophy is if you practice religion without philosophy, it is sentiment, it is emotion, and it can end up becoming fanatism. While philosophy without religion is self speculation. If anyone can talk about any philosophy, but if there is no base of religion, so what happens around us, not only in Bangladesh, Pakistan, but also in India? Not only Muslims fanatics, but Hindu fanatics are also. Don't point fingers at others. We should also point fingers at what we are doing. Now you tell me, we are calling ourselves as Hindu. What do we know about Hinduism? Those people, who went to Ayodhya, or who went, were they practicing, did they study Bhagavad Gita and then they went to Ayodhya? No. They were also fanatics. So we have to join both these things. What are the 2 things? A strong philosophy and religious practices. So it's not only that we are just requesting you to worship deities and chant, but we are also requesting you to read Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. So then it will not be emotional. You know why? Because if you are emotionally doing something, someone can come and break your emotion. You know how? So in Russia, what happened, that there were people who were going to church. And you know what did these communist people say? You go to church and you ask for bread. And will he give you bread? And then they put trucks load of bread outside the church and they say, we are giving you bread. So why you have to go to church? We are giving you bread. And they locked all the churches. Hindus in India, 99% of Hindus, when they go to temple, what for they go to temple? For asking something from Krishna. Asking something tangible to be happy. Now, if they now next day they are going to Cognizant, they are getting something tangible there. So this thing, they are getting something tangible from Cognizant and Accenture and Apple and all these companies. That I don't need to go to temple anymore. I don't need to put bindi here. I don't need to keep shikha. I don't need. Excuse me, it's not only in Pakistan and Bangladesh, but also what we are doing, we should question ourselves. So we have to, nicely balance these two things. We have to do practice, but also understand those things. And then no one can break our emotion. We will know what those people are doing, and we should have pity on them. Our devotees were killed in Bangladesh. But we are also preaching aggressively in Bangladesh and Pakistan and China. And we did in Russia when it was a communist country. Many devotees, they gave their life for preaching in Russia. If you want to read, there is a salted bread book here. Salted bread. And they may be there in the salted bread. There is a book, and you will see in that book how devotees didn't stop chanting and reading Bhagavad Gita, Russian devotees. But they happily gave up their life. They were Russians and we are Indians. We are happily putting our mala in the shelf, Bhagavad Gita in the shelf, and putting laptop in our lap. But they didn't do that. So we have to do both the things. We don't have to become emotional and fanatics, right? We have to practice. We have to understand these things and nicely practice this. Balance our life in a logical way. See, I myself am a corporate person. I am a doctor, medical doctor, right? A scientist, hardcore scientist. And we are balancing these things. And you are also scientists in your own ways, right? You're all engineers, educated. Why? You can also do the same thing. Madhukant Prabhu, he is a vice president in a company, right? He does that, Dr. Manish, a medical doctor. Why can't you do? Right? Does that answer? Right? There was one more question. Oh, Prashad. You have a mic.
You were mentioning about,
You take the mic.
you were mentioning about a sales engineering doing software stuff. So not only a sales engineer, there are many people who are doing different jobs which some of them they know what they need to do, but still end up doing something else.
Right.
And some of them don't know what they need to do, but doing something for their livelihood.
Yeah.
So how can a person know like what he needs to do and how he can?
That is what Bhakti Vriksha is going to help you. If you join, if you read Bhagavad Gita, if you try to understand, you will explore your own self, what you are, because today we don't know what we are actually. What we want, what is the thing which can give us happiness. We are all confused. That is why we have made this, in corporate we make SOPs, right? Working instructions, right? These corporate minds have designed this Bhakti Vriksha also. Yes. If we can manage the entire globe in our corporate job, then we can also design these things for a spiritual life. So this Bhakti Vriksha has been designed by brains, and it is very systematic. I would encourage you, and then you will understand, and you will be able to help yourselves. Right? Okay. So next is retreat. Next Saturday, we are all going for a spiritual retreat to Devra and Durga. Okay. So who all have not registered for this, I would encourage you to register. Ranjit Prabhu has registered. Jiri Mata ji. Many of you have registered. Tirupati Prabhu has, right? So who all wants to go and have not registered can raise their hands. Who want to go but have not yet registered. So there is an option for you. You can go again to the same person, Abhishek Prabhu. He can help you to register. It is a one-day trip. I'll share. It is a one-day trip to Devrayandar, and we'll have Divine Darshan. Narsimha Dev is there, right? A lot of fun activities and games will be there. Kirtan, Prasad, retreat, and we will start the buses. We are hiring buses from here, from IBC, right? They will take you. We will serve all the meals. We are taking care for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, right? It starts at 5:30 a.m. and we will be back by evening 9:30, right? So, and it will cost us because prasadam and bus and all this. So we are charging 750 rupees per head. There's no charge for children below 5 years if they don't need a seat in the bus. And if you have already done registered but are not part of the WhatsApp retreat group, then also you please approach Abhishek Prabhu, right? So if those who are interested, they can, Abhishek Prabhu will have a desk there, the corner, and after Aarti, you can approach him, right? Now there's one special announcement. So in our spiritual lives, we also progress the way, we progress from an associate to a manager and to a director and, president and chief operating officer and CEO. Similarly, we also progress in our spiritual lives, right? And so this last weekend, we have one of our devotees, he got initiation, and his name was Ankur Prabhu, and he is now Ati Chandra Gaur Prabhu. So we'll invite him here. So he has got initiation now. He has formally taken Diksha, from a guru, and his name is Ati Chandra Gaur Prabhu. We like to clap for him and congratulate him. Hare Krishna. So good to see him progressing in his spiritual life, right? So now all of you have beads in your hand. You want to chant, right? So I see all of you are there. So I'll start music. Just hold on. We have to play music. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar, Srivasadi Gaur. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna.
Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. So we will have a very short shloka recitation from all the kids. Hare Krishna Mataji. All the kids are ready.
Mani chani wahadi nane kali asi kalawan. Uma ke nirna ke nati kararam. Keshavadika talki sharira. Jai Jagadisha Hare. Jai Jagadisha Hare. Jai Jagadisha Hare.
Very good. Okay, so all together?
All together.
Okay, nursing Aarti, yes. Start.
Jai Narsinga, Jai Narsinga, Radesha Jaya Padma, Mukha Padma Bhringa, Namaste Narasimhaya, Naradaraine, Hiranyakashi Purvakshaha, Do Narsimha, Palito Narsimha, Pito Narsimha, Palito Narsimha, Yamitato Narsimha, Yate Narsimha, Hridaye Narsimha, Bahe Narsimha, Hridaye Narsimha, Nrsimha Vadem Sharanam Prapade, Narasimha Vadem Sharanam Prapade, Dharakala Kamala Vahe Lakham, Adbhuta Singam, Dalita Hiranyakashipu Ringam, Keshavadita Narayani Rupa, Jai Jagadisha Hare, Jai Jagadisha Hare, Jai Jagadisha Hare. Narasimha Dev, Jai Narasimha Dev, Narasimha Dev, Jai Narasimha Dev.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mother. Thank you. So here, we clap for all the kids. Hare Krishna. So as Sri Gaur Prabhu just mentioned, so these next two steps for this group, one is that now enrolling to Bhakti Vriksha, which is basically the waves outside the temples are very strong, and if you don't stay associated with the devotees, then all these 9 weeks, whatever you have learned, will wiped out in 9 minutes. Okay, so I very strongly request all of you that those who have not yet registered themselves for the Bhakti Vriksha, please connect with Abhishek Prabhu and then get your name enrolled so that we can rightly distribute all the devotees in the respective group, which is online, offline, and the Hindi. So online group and offline Hindi and English, 3 groups. That is one, and as Prabhuji suggested, that on 2nd July, when we are all going for the retreat to Devnarayana. So those who willing to come, please connect with Abhishek. So here, I think we now come to the end of this our 9-session course of Bhagavad Gita. on the behalf of Iskcon AECS layout, we are very thankful to all of you to encourage us also, because as it is important for you, it is even more important for us, so that you guys have given us opportunity to, remind ourselves to again and again go through what Prabhupada has taught us. It is really helping us also in our own spiritual life. We are also very grateful and thankful to all the devotees who are here at the back, Matajis and all, who have consistently helped us from the day one, the day zero, going to the street, registering people at different places, and ultimately making this session happen. So thank you so much to all the devotees and all the volunteers. Okay, this is a very auspicious day again. Today is Ekadashi. In this journey of 9 weeks, we had festivals, we had Nirjala Ekadashi, and then now we are going for retreat. So thank you so much. We can now proceed for the Arti and after that, then Hare Krishna.
So you can all face towards the altar.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama.
और भी बच्चा अभी
Con,
क्या खाएगा?
con thì phát,
क्या खाएगा?
vai con người phát,
नहीं बात तुमको बता क्या खाएगा अभी?
con người gặp cái phát,
क्या?
con người gặp,
कौन क्या होता है ये? क्या होता है कौन?
con
Sankirtan Yagya Ki, Srila Prabhupada Ki, Gita Gaur Premanande. Hare Krishna. So we will now proceed for the prasadam. So we request all the Matajis to please first collect the prasadam, and then after that